It starts quietly. No one notices at first. You're 7 years old, staring into the eyes of a parent who is falling apart. Maybe it's addiction, maybe it's anger, maybe it's just the hollow silence of someone too broken to show up. And without words, something ancient clicks in your small mind. If I don't hold everything together, no one will. This is how a child disappears. Not physically, but psychologically. They smile more, they cry less. They learn to read the room before they speak. They become the emotional thermostat of the household. They become small adults, long before their minds are ready, and the world praises them for it. You're so mature. You're so responsible. You're so strong. But no one ever stops to ask at what cost. This is the invisible grief of those who grew up too fast. And today, we're going deep inside the psychology of that child, because the effects don't vanish with age. They shape you. They follow you into relationships, careers, your sense of worth. If you don't understand what happened, you'll spend your adult life repeating survival patterns. Psychologists call this parentification. It's when a child becomes the caregiver, the peacekeeper, the therapist. It rewires the brain. It creates something called hypervigilance. You're always scanning for danger. You walk on eggshells. You learn that love is a transaction. You give peace, and maybe they'll give you safety. You learn your needs are dangerous, so you disappear, and in your place grows a version that performs well. You become the good child, the quiet achiever, the therapist friend. You wear that identity so convincingly that even you forget it's a mask. But deep down, something hurts. Something aches. Because the inner child you buried didn't die. They're still in there screaming silently, "Why didn't anyone protect me?" As you grow older, the symptoms become more complex. You might become hyper-independent. You refuse help, push people away. You might feel numb during happy moments because joy feels unfamiliar, even dangerous. You might struggle to rest because productivity is the only way you've ever felt worthy. Your nervous system accepts chaos as a baseline. Stillness feels wrong. Love feels like a debt. Children will do anything for attachment, even abandon themselves. What saved you then imprisons you now. So many are walking around as high-functioning adults with deeply neglected inner children. We overachieve to earn love. We stay silent to avoid abandonment. We secretly wish someone would just ask if we're okay. The first step to healing is witnessing. Until you validate what happened, you'll keep gaslighting yourself with thoughts like, "It wasn't that bad." No one's coming to rescue the child you buried. You are the one who must go back and hold their hand. Say, "You didn't deserve that." This is the beginning of shadow work. Not fixing, not performing, but turning toward the abandoned parts and saying, "I see you now." That is the reparenting process. And it's brutal because it asks you to feel the grief you never had time to feel, to weep for the birthdays when no one showed up, to mourn the innocence you lost while protecting people who should have protected you. But that grief, it's not weakness. It's proof that you're healing, because what was once frozen is finally thawing. You might become a therapist in all your friendships. You might be praised for your independence when deep down you're terrified. You might be in relationships where you overfunction. These are not personality traits, they are coping strategies. Honor your wounds. One of the most powerful things you can do is ask your inner child, "What did I need back then that I never got?" This is how you stop seeking parents in your partners. This is how you stop running from the child you were. Then what kind of adulthood do you inherit? You inherit a life where you're always holding your breath, waiting for someone to give you permission to finally fall apart. But here's the truth. No one's coming to rescue the child you buried. You are the one who must go back and hold their hand. You are the one who must say what no one else ever said. You didn't deserve that. You were just a child. You get to rest now. This is the beginning of shadow work. Not fixing, not performing, not bypassing the pain with fake positivity, but turning to all the abandoned parts of yourself and saying, "I see you now, I hear you now, and I'm not leaving." That is the reparenting process, and it's brutal because it asks you to feel the grief you never had time to feel. It asks you to sit with the rage, the sorrow, the unmet needs, to weep for the birthdays when no one showed up, to mourn the innocence you lost while protecting people who should have protected you. But that grief, it's not weakness, it's proof that you're healing, because what was once frozen is finally thawing. Now let's talk about how this survival pattern shows up in adulthood. Subtly, tragically, and often invisibly, you might become a therapist in all your friendships, but never let anyone truly see you. You might be praised for your independence when deep down you're terrified. You might be in relationships where you overfunction, always fixing, managing, over-explaining, and wondering why you feel resentful. You might struggle with boundaries because saying no still feels like betrayal. These are not personality traits. They are coping strategies, learned, conditioned, and the good news, unlearnable. But only when you stop idolizing your strength and start honoring your wounds. One of the most powerful things you can do is ask your inner child, what did I need back then that I never got? You may hear answers like, I needed someone to tell me it wasn't my fault. I needed someone to ask how I was doing. I needed to play, rest, laugh without fear. And slowly, very slowly, you begin to give those things to yourself, not to fix your past, but to stop reliving it. This is how you stop seeking parents in your partners. This is how you stop mistaking anxiety for intuition. This is how you stop running from the child you were and the self you're becoming. Carl Jung once said, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. But shadow work demands that we face it, all of it, the neglected, the ashamed, the scared, the angry. Because healing isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. So if you're someone who grew up too fast, know this, your maturity was never the problem. The problem was that you had no choice. But now you do. You can choose softness. You can choose to rest. You can choose to stop managing everyone else's emotions and start honoring your own. And no, it won't happen overnight. There will be days you feel like a child again. Good. That's the point. Let that child come home. Let them cry. Let them play. Let them finally be seen. Because you're not broken. You're becoming whole. And maybe it's for the first time you're finally growing up the right way. Not through pressure, not through fear, but through truth. You never had a childhood, but you still have a future. And this time, you get to write it.